Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Mike Haspil, and special guest Wyatt Turk from Jacket Clubs Painting and on YouTube and Twitch. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Hello, everyone.
What's up?
What's up?
That was a mighty echo. So, wow, what a weekend! So many things from the television to previews that we probably won't talk about to the actual previews for events, and man, just so much stuff happening. I don't even know where to start. I would like to first little bit of self promotion going right into it. Unless you guys have a poop story.
Dick story. I definitely sucked a homeless guy's dick in the forest this weekend, as per my promise to you guys. I would do if it's what GW asked me to do to get the Knights Renegade Codex finalized. So I did deliver on my guarantee in the Zorthian Ranch and Angeles Forest last weekend. I told the whole story in great detail on the webcast.
That escalated quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for taking one for the team.
Yeah. We'll talk about Kenny's bold predictions. Oh, I guess Kenny and Wyatt. I kind of chimed in with two things, but
wouldn't have happened without Wyatt.
Yeah. Probably a little later. I think we should just jump right into Tabletop Market Watch. So much stuff happened over the weekend. A little bit of self-promotion. Spiky Bits turned 10 since our first posting back in 2009, and then eventual foray into the videos and the social medias and all those things as they all started kind of popping off. And if you haven't seen the giveaways we're doing over on Facebook, definitely check out Spiky Bits Facebook page, because drop a comment. There's 2 weeks worth of giveaways happening over there, so it'll all be done next Friday. So first off, thanks everybody for reading and watching and tuning in live, listening to the podcast that we're a part of here on the Long War, and can't say thank you enough.
And it is a pretty big deal for Rob, because he was 11 when he started the Long War. So, and Spiky Bits. So now he's 21, and
he's been doing this for like literally half his life.
Half his life. So very cool.
Somebody said, if you think you can leave a better comment, please do, because I haven't seen a better comment yet on our we changed out all the logos and everything. But someone said, I think it was Matthew Howell, said the site now looks as old as what did he say? Dang, did you guys see it? The site looks older than Rob. The site is now older than Rob looks. That's what he said. The site is now older than Rob looks. I was like, ouch. That was awesome.
It's funny, Rob, because this is my 9th year. Next Level Painting's 9th year. Wow. That's how we've come up together. Very close.
That's pretty impressive, guys. That's really good.
I appreciate it, man. But I remember when me and Rob first were introduced to each other, and we started getting along and talking online, trying to feel each other out, trying to figure out how we're going to work together. And then that was 9 years ago. That was 9 years ago, for sure.
Did you say feel each other up?
I think that's what he said.
That's what he said.
Also,
that's
we held hands. I heard that too at some point.
One of us felt the other one up a little bit more aggressively than the other, though.
Yeah, truth. I believe it.
Would you believe that Kenny can pick me up? Pretty much and not even break a sweat.
Can you believe that Rob will fucking fight tooth and claw to stop me from picking him up?
I will go. You know how cats go dead weight? Like, I will go dead weight.
He will.
I'll just be like, I now weigh 500 pounds.
He will change his personal gravity field and make it impossible.
It's pretty easy to do. So, no, it's been a blast. The past 10 years, it's been super crazy.
I was there that one time. You were drunk at IHOP. Never. Like, man, we're talking like, God, the years, the memories. So many of them. Decades worth of memories.
Yeah, I feel like saying drunk at an IHOP is redundant. That's like saying drunk drunk
Next
at a
thing you know,
Waffle
you're gonna say
House.
it was like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
How was that Waffle House at 2 a.m.? Obviously.
Obviously.
Captain
I mean,
Obvious.
Why is that even a question? No, it's oh my gosh.
I remember trying to make you throw up in the parking lot before we went in there.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to throw up in there.
Instead, he's like, give me another Red Bull, I'll be fine.
Nice.
Puke and rally, dude.
That's what it is. You can't stop, won't stop. You got to take the uppers with the downers. You got to even it out.
That's like your
Everybody-
21st birthday.
Probably. Many people probably thought it was my
Yeah,
21st
definitely
birthday.
everyone at the bar thought it was your birthday.
Like, what is
Yeah.
that 13-year-old doing chugging beer in the parking lot? We should call somebody.
Many I was doing shots with Reese out in the parking lot at from Frontline Gaming at ATC's. I was like, there's no booze. I guess you're not supposed to drink there because it's state. I was like, yo, man. He was like, dang. And I was like, yo, I got some booze in the car. You want to drink it? And he's like, yeah. We had to just keep doing shots out of like the top to the
He didn't question you on your age?
No, Reese didn't ID me. It was very nice of him. He's a very, very flattering man. That was good times.
Well, congratulations on being 10 years old.
Thank you.
Business.
Oh, that is really good.
It's always it's always like a feather in the cap. The first day of business simply doesn't cost money to operate. Right? That day is a success. That day is a celebration. And here we are 10 years later. Big shout out to Rob and Spiky Bits, man. It's awesome.
Thank you, dog. You got yours coming up next year. It's gonna be legit. Most legit.
Hopefully I'm still here.
I hope so.
All right. Do some news.
Do some news. Talk those things. So, well, we got a little bit of hobby awareness to talk about. You probably saw the article earlier today. Obviously, there's some politics happening in Washington here in the States to where they're looking to tariff incoming goods from China. The Toy Industry Association, which represents the $26 billion industry, had made a lot of posts yesterday on their site, being May the 14th, and had a lot to say about it. They're like, hey, this is going to be really bad. We could expect prices to jump 25%. And several U.S. game and hobby distributors said similar things, although I don't think all of them have finished commenting quite yet. But long story short, there's a petition out there. If you live in the States, you really take a minute to click on the link wherever you find it. Obviously, we posted it up on Spiky Bits, but fill it out. It takes 2 seconds. You put in your zip code, you put in your name. It's pre-filled out. It all makes good points. Just put something in there like, hey, I don't need my hobbies going up or something like that. Very simple. Hit send. You're done. And that stuff really helps out, I think overall, if it does go through, it'll disrupt on the tabletop hobby scene. You got people like FFG that really depend on getting a lot of products in from China, more so than actually producing the stuff in the States right now currently. But so some will be impacted more, some will be impacted less. Like GW will be impacted because they actually produce some stuff in China, floated over both to England and to America separately. If the tariffs happen like that, it could be a problem. Now, I don't know if there's an option where they could float it to England and then unload it, take their portion of their warehouse, turn some of it around, float it back to America. I don't know if that's all correct and allowable, but in theory, you could do that. The problem is that now you're adding another step of transatlantic travel, and then stuff like white dwarfs that are already made several months out, miniatures are already painted, and now you're going to have like weird releases, like you get a model, but you can't get the book because the books were all printed in China for a particular release, and the spells card and the war scroll card. So it could be disruptive, but ultimately not like completely shut down the Warhammer hobby. But some other hobbies will be more impacted, I feel like. So just be aware of it. Sign the petition if you can. I don't think it's a good thing for any industry that relies heavily on getting things exported from China. But That's just sight unseen, no politics involved. The end on that one as far as
quick interruption for you,
yeah.
Rob. Folks are asking if you can throw that link up in the chat.
Yeah, actually I actually made a Bitly link. Give me 1 second. I will throw that up in here. This is actually going to take you to the Toy Industry Association's site because they set it all up. So yeah, I'll put it in here. But remember, I mean, GW, and I said it in an article, GW is very careful to not mark their stuffed toys because toys draw additional scrutiny, you know, like lead and paint, such. So, but it's still a similar parallel we can draw, I feel like. So I did put that link in the chat right there. So that's one thing to be aware of. And also, you might see severe allocations on GW stuff. We saw it with Loon Curse. We're going to see it this week with the Kill Team boxes and such. I'm not sure about the rule books though, but the normal kits. And then next week with the Sigmar terrain. There's a couple of reasons for that. You know, it's the end of GW's fiscal year. Could be their forecasting budget was low. Could be they don't want to have a lot of inventory on hand. I don't know 100%. But those are all both good business reasons in my book. So just wanted to mention it. But in the long term, they're building up their production and their distribution facilities both here in the UK. So hopefully we won't have these issues for the holiday season. So we just kind of got to grin and bear it. It's a good thing to have growing pains. It's a better thing to address them. And hopefully there will be a thing in the past here soon. Because turns out we all want our toys, right? I feel like we want toys. So
yeah.
Except for Haspil. He teased me about Titanicus earlier. So
I bought Titanicus. I just haven't had a chance to.
I think
to do anything.
75% of the people in this conversation own Titanicus.
Yeah. Fact.
Yeah, 75% of the people who bought Titanicus are in this call right now.
Well, I'm sure there's a fifth or sixth person out there. 100%.
It's probably accurate.
No, a lot of people said that when I was playing it at Adepticon. They're like, "Oh man, that stuff looks so good. I bought it. I haven't put it together. You know, I got it. Like, hey, that's half the battle.
Yeah,
get it out there."
I will say I was very intimidated when I bought it. Granted, I'm strapped on time, but when I bought it, I was like, "Oh, sweet," you know. And I for whatever reason, I thought the Titans were resin. So I was like, oh, I'm going to slap these boys together and then try out some rules. And I opened up the box and was just faced by a hive of gray sprues. And I was like, and just put the lid back on.
Slowly close the box as it creaks closed as the air rushes out of it for the last time.
And I was like, well,
1 billion parts.
Yeah, I was like, that is an excellent purchase, but I have no time to deal with this right now.
I won't lie. I mean, the Knights... The Titans, the Warlord Titans, going to take just as long to put together as an Imperial Knight. So just be aware of that ahead of time. I mean, you can do it faster.
Yeah. Well, I even bought the battle foam that fits in the box and everything. So I'll have all the components.
That is that's actually pretty smart. I didn't know they did that, which doesn't surprise me because they always do that with every kit. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. So let's talk about some of the new stuff. I think the one that we can talk the longest amount. Actually, before we jump into GW, let's give a shout out to Creature Caster. Their new Dracon models out today. I think it's $105 or $109. So May 15th, it's officially on pre-order, so you can scoop it up now. And I think general release, their Matriarchs of Ecstasy. Those little Herald size models, like 40 mil bases. Those are all, as of a couple weeks ago, on general sale too. So if you missed those, maybe pick them up both, because why not? I think some new Star Wars was previewed today for Legion, and one of the droid Vulture bombers was previewed yesterday. So FFG still got some stuff on the horizon, but nothing super crazy volumes of releases. I think they're going to pivot to Clone Wars here over the summer.
Segue on Star Wars real quick.
Sure.
So there is a YouTube video out there. If you have not seen it, you owe it to yourself to see it.
Oh, yeah.
It's called SC-38 Revisited. And what it is it is the fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader in A New Hope. When Luke and Han and Leia are trying to make it to the Millennium Falcon and Obi-Wan's coming back down. And they did an absolutely phenomenal job. Some of the facial like replacement isn't 100%, but when you think it's something that fans made, this is not a professional studio. It is actually unbelievable. And they updated the fight, and it actually makes sense. It doesn't look like, I was worried that they were going to go cray like episode 1, where with a lot of like acrobatics and stuff like that, but it's not. And it ties into like the way Vader moves in Rogue One, at the end of Rogue One, that we loved. It ties into, it reuses some of the moves, the defensive style of Obi-Wan Kenobi that we've seen in the Clone Wars and in the prequels. It's phenomenal. It's so good. And it even ties in like episode 3. It's very, very well done. So
I've actually seen that. It's really well done for like a fan project. It's super cool to watch.
It's unbelievable. It just took my breath away when I saw it. So you owe it to yourself to go check that out.
This is a Star Trek scene.
Star Wars.
Got him. So there was some new paints. They showed off some new paints over the weekend. You might have heard about them. They're called Contrast Color, I think. Mm-hmm. They're from a manufacturer called Games Workshop in England. Yeah. Something new for the kids. Now GW unveiled them all. 34. It looks like 34 paints. Oh, by the way, the DracCon chat saying it is $119. So my mistake. I only know the information I'm told ahead of time. I didn't actually verify it. So that is my bad. So 119. Check it out now. Contrast is out. 34 paints.
Is it actually out already?
Well, I mean, it's previewed.
I believe they said next month.
Okay. So yeah, they said June.
Yeah.
34 paints, 2 primers, 2 primer bottles in some sort of medium because it doesn't work with water, supposedly. So that's the lineup. No clue on pricing. They could be 24 millimeter bottles, which are the size of the washes, which go for $7.80 currently, or they could be a smaller like hybrid bottle we haven't seen before. But it's just really hard to tell at this point. We don't know what the material is. We talked about it in the pre-show a little bit. Wyatt had some thoughts. About it's basically a heavily pigmented wash. Just something that you could take a paint and perhaps add some medium to. Something similar to that.
Why would you say they gave some kind of light instructions on how it works?
Yeah, it's like last podcast I theorized that the contrast paint would be a stupid new paint line where they take a painting technique or a term from painting theory and slap it into a brand name. And it turns out that was 100% accurate. It's exactly what they did. So it's like this new paint that's this like goopy, heavily pigmented ink stuff that you have to use their proprietary primer on. Prime the model white.
It's not water soluble either, so you can't thin it down.
Yeah, it's not water soluble, so there's that. And then one thick coat, slap it on there, and you get a shitty looking model. So cool.
Well, that is accurate though. I mean, those models don't look good.
It depends. It depends because I'm gonna be the voice that goes against you guys on this, right? And it's like, since 4th edition, I've had this like hobby dream of building this Blood Ravens army. And because I've just been out of time, I was basically on the verge of just priming those guys with a colored primer and dipping those fools. Right. And my intention right now is just to get these guys on the tabletop painted. Not to look good. So it's not going to be at the level of Jack of Clubs. It's not even going to be close, right? But they will be red.
Yeah.
And if I can have them be red with like fake highlights and fake recessed stuff in one step, that's huge.
Haspil would counter that with, you would spray them red with a primer, then you would dip and fling them and set them down.
Yep.
Right. So they'd be red with fake recessed shading.
No. But the way you do the army painter stuff is you actually paint them all, right?
Yeah,
paint it all
you
first.
paint everything and then
Well,
you just pick one of
GW
the-
is not preaching not painting the shoulder pads, the bolters, the eyes. They're
No,
not.
but no, but you do that afterwards.
Right, but so it's the same amount of steps, just in a different order.
No, it isn't. It's. I'm trying to think.
With
how
Army
to-
Painter, you paint everything. Then
Yeah.
you use Strong Tone, which is kind of their like blend that can cover every color and
Right,
concept.
right. But
So you paint everything, then you dip.
Mhm.
In this situation,
here's the
you
difference.
spray it white, cover it with a paintbrush. There's not even a dip element here, so that's 10
Right.
times longer than a dip. Then when that's dry, you go and paint all the details.
right, which is why it's different.
It's potentially more steps than what you're doing with
It
Army
seems
It
like
is.
more
It is.
steps.
It is, because when I paint something, and granted, you can do different stuff with the Army Painter, like Strong Tone, which I highly advocate. If you're trying to get, if you're just trying to get an army on the table like fast, that Strong Tone is awesome, right? But what you do is you just paint. You can use the old GW terms, base colors, right? And so I spray paint them. I spray paint them with a colored primer, and then I take base colors and I just paint like the shoulder pads a base color. I don't do any detail work. I don't do anything like that. And then you dip them, right? And the dip takes a long time, believe it or not. It actually takes.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying you like the contrast because it gives you that kind of fake highlight element to the overall, like, so instead of doing a base color and then a shade and it's just like a dark base tone, with the contrast you get shaded recesses and a lighter shade on the highlighted areas, and you don't have to put a wash on it. And that's kind of what contrast is supposed to do. So it's like,
Right.
Right.
I get what you're saying. And
Ideally, granted, we haven't seen this in person.
yeah, I mean, like, I was just saying, like, their promotional pictures of it don't look very good, but we're not the target demographic of this.
No.
They're targeting people that are like totally noobs, maybe scared of like getting into painting a whole army, that kind of thing. And for them, that's fine. You know, in the webcast, I said anything that can get new blood into the hobby is probably a good thing. But end of the day, this still looks like a garbage product, and the end result doesn't look very good.
So Rob and definitely Wyatt in the webcast took way more of a position that you took, Haspil. We're like, in the end of the day, it's gonna get people in the hobby, this and that. My whole thing is like, I love getting people in the hobby. You may have heard that I've dedicated my life, at least a decade of it, to creating content to show you how easy it is to paint models. The next level painting system is not my masterworks that I do. It's literally airbrush some shit, cut in the deets, drop a wash. It's very fast, very efficient. It depends on an airbrush and the basic knowledge of an airbrush, which I advocate for strongly. Everyone should get a fucking airbrush. Even if you think it's expensive, it's not when you consider you don't buy models for 2 months, then you cover it. So when I look at this product, I'm looking at a artificially created problem that doesn't either exist or has already been solved. Right?
No, you're right about that.
Like, and so Mike Haspil's a perfect candidate for this, for my opinion. Haspil solved this problem for as long as I've known the motherfucker, which is like 14 years. He has been spraying models like Federizian Gray, quote unquote, cutting into the trim real quick in an assembly line, and then dipping and flinging and going to bed at night and having award-winning armies. He's been doing that for 14 years.
Yep. I mean, I started with Minwax floor polish.
Before Army Painter said, I'll just swirl it together in a pot for you, you were doing it before that. So longer than the 10 year of our friendship. You already solved the problem like many gamers did that existed years ago. And GW actually themselves solved this problem when they came out with foundation paints and Devlin Mud.
Yep.
So GW said, we already solved this problem. Let's kind of recreate the problem so we can then therefore market another product. Sure, you get your models painted super quick, no doubt. But I think we've evolved as a community and as a hobby in the creation of YouTube and the internet that our solves to this problem look far superior than they used to in just about the same amount of time.
Right.
Right. So like it's a fake problem and a fake solution. That's my big issue with it, because I want people to paint their models quick. But these look like shit.
Here's why I want to disagree with you, right? Is because I have seen so many times people come in, they see the game, they think it's awesome, and then when they find out they have to paint miniatures, they're out. They're not going to buy it. They're done. They walk across the store to something else, right? So this is even though I can tell people, dude, like I get compliments on my Necron army. It is a 3-foot paint job. If you look at them close, they look like absolute garbage. If you look at them from 3 feet away, from a tabletop height, they look phenomenal. They're literally 3 colors. They're like fluorescent green, gold, and another green, like the teal. They're 3 colors, and people are like, "Wow, that looks amazing." But when I try to explain that to people, they're always looking for the hack. And I think that's what GW is giving them. They're giving them the hack. They're like, use this, and this, and you're done.
Yep. I think, I think overall it's definitely good, but buyer beware, always be like, okay, what's the price of these 3 paints that I need to paint this model? Is this more time? Is this easier? Or is this just something I can achieve with half the price point in hobby supplies or things I already have? And at the end of the day, there's a market for everybody, and it's only crazy if it doesn't work. So,
right. I mean, I'm sure GW found a way to make it work. They always do. And like cost aside, fuck it. We spent $1 billion on this shit.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So cost aside, fuck the cost, right? Fuck the cost. My issue is, does it really save time? Does it really though? I'm doing the same thing. Like, so you're priming a model white, and then you're physically applying an all-over wash to each guy.
Jimmy, I will promise you, okay, this is going to be a thing now because you just mentioned it, right? So I'm going to do a Blood Ravens army. So when these things drop, I promise the community right now, I'm going to do a comparison.
Please.
Oh yeah.
Haspil's because I talked about doing one of myself, but I'm like, Haspil's the perfect guy. He has won painting competitions at major events with his dip method that he currently uses. I would love a Haspil behind the scenes on that.
Yeah. So I will tell people right now, I will do like 3 or 5 guys looking good, like airbrush base, all that stuff. And I can already tell you those guys are going to look way better than the other 2. And then I will do one using the Army Painter dip method. And then I will do one using the new contrast.
And if you can get like a reasonable scientific process of time analysis, and then we can balance that versus appearance, and they would really come out. Oh, that'd be sick, Haspil.
That would be super good.
I promise you I will do that.
Cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a video on the new contrast because I have a different way of doing it. Where like I understand what they're trying to do, which is a pre-highlight or value painting, and then slapping on a glaze. Like you're glazing over a pre-highlight. So except they're doing theirs white, and I would imagine their primer is a gloss primer, which is why they're calling it proprietary,
or at least a semi-gloss.
Yeah, or semi-gloss. It's not matte, right? So I'm going to do a similar thing that they're doing, except I'm not going to use any other proprietary primers. I'm going to prime that shit black. I'm going to dry brush it gray. Then I'm going to do one last dry brush white. So it's actually value painting. Then I'm going to hit it with the glazes or the contrasts because that's really what they're trying to do. And so I'm going to just add 2 quick steps that they're not preaching. And I'll do one that's just the white, and then we'll see if it actually in a value painting scale looks good. And so I can really give it my like, non-biased because like I don't think these are good, and I think it's a market ploy, but I will, as an objective person who is dedicated to art and time saving, I will do my diligence in my way. But I think Haspil's is going to be the most scientific because he is a prolific dipper.
Oh yeah, I do a lot.
He is. And this shit looks tight. Your Space Wolf army back in the day, we used to go everywhere and you'd be winning like all the Players' Choice Awards and shit like that. I would look at it, I'd be like, I would just break it down and be like, you just dip this shit, man. But then he would like obscure elements of the staining with this or that, or a little battle damage, make sure the bases were fucking on point. And then before you knew it, he had this Grey Knight army or the Space Wolf army that looks sick as fuck, and he painted it like that weekend.
Yep.
So I think your shit's gonna be sick.
Yeah, I had no idea all that stuff was dipped. Those armies, I took pictures of those armies at the first Feast of Blades.
Yep.
It was featuring them. Those were the days, man.
I fucking loved it. I love this shit, man. Like Haspil he's known in our scene, or back in the day when I used to live in Colorado, he was known for like bringing the heat and the paint.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think what's really going to be interesting out of all of this is to see the folks that get the stuff from GW and to see what their actual take is on it, because there's like this kind of fine line where it's like, if I say something bad about GW stuff, do I keep getting GW stuff?
I feel like the answer is no to that question.
I mean, like,
it's straight dope for me. I've got nothing invested.
No, I'm just saying the people that get the stuff early to do their content, on YouTube, like, what are they going to say about this product? Because I mean, me personally, like some of them folks, like literally were like talking about Titanicus, like they didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. And I was like, you could straight up hear it. Like I played Titanicus and what you just said was all wrong completely. You're just making shit up at this point just because you're getting the stuff for review. Like, so when this stuff comes out, that's going to be interesting.
Well, whether or not Contrast is good product or not, it gave us a freaking Duncan Conan video, so I'm grateful.
Oh, I said that too in the webcast. Like, we got some
the
great
marketing,
skits.
amazing.
But it's just so I want to echo Psycho in the chat. He's like, new people who have not done research though, they won't know about other techniques that will learn after they get into the hobby. See, I'm not disputing the always superior marketing strategy GW. They continuously rope us into a basic ass game that is always just below modern game theory. They always continue to get us hooked because of their superior marketing and their beautiful narrative and their incredible models. They're geniuses of marketing. I'm not disputing the fucking genius of the one shop stop theory that is go into a GW store, see the beautiful models, see that all the products are all here made by the same company. So there's no like hesitation whatsoever. Like that is going to work. This is going to work as a market far as marketing is concerned. People are going to buy this shit. 100%.
Yeah, and what Psycho said, but that's the entire point is they get you into the hobby, right? And then you're playing the hobby and you go to a tourney or you go to a, an event where other people have painted stuff and you see that, hey, my stuff that I did with Contrast, it looks good. It's on the table, but that guy's stuff is ridiculous, right? And I want to get to that guy's stuff. Yeah. And then you up your game. I mean, that's how we all started, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and if it ends up being a pre-mixed glaze that's already the correct consistency, it will be a useful hobby tool. Like even if you just reach into it, if it's especially if their color matches to some of their other classic GW paints. If we're talking about there's a Evil Sun Scarlet contrast color match, and you're telling me it's just like already glazed, ready to go out the can, and I can just work some deets out. Like, let me tell you this, something we've been working on for the last couple streams. We've been doing a Siren from CreatureCast, so we got the exclusive. I've been working on a red workup on her, and I'm highlighting her with like ivories and flesh tones and whites, and I'm like taking the reds away from red and desaturating the fuck out of them. I'm like, don't worry, because every few seconds when that dries, I go back with the initial red, the pyro red, and I kind of glaze it back over and snap it back to red. So it ceases to be desaturated. At any moment, if you're telling me I'm doing that with Evil Sun Scarlet, and I got this other shit ready to go, and I can now kind of like, even if you're just taking it to more of like a master level, you have this available to you, that will expedite the process in itself. So if that's the case, it is a valuable tool for sure. I just would never take a tool and turn it into the center stage way I paint the fucking model.
Yeah, I theorized on the webcast that I think there are ways to make this product look a lot better than their promotional material is making it look. I mean, like over the weekend when they were showing it off, there was a ton of people that actually went to the event and they had a booth set up where you could sit down with a pre-primed model and work with the contrast paints. And it's like, man, every single one of those models just looked awful, looked terrible. And
it was a lot of coffee staining. Yeah,
a lot of coffee. Like that coffee staining look is just, it's a real turnoff for me.
But that could just be them not familiar with
and it could be that too.
Brushwork.
Like, so my theory is that if you pre-shade your model, like prime it black and then prime it white, sprinkle it with a little bit of white and then apply the contrast, you'll actually get contrast on your model and that paint won't look as splotchy, because that's kind of what it looks like. You have that thin paint with a vibrant pigment over a white primer, and even with normal paint, that can make a model look splotchy.
Well, I mean, it's going to desaturate the pigment.
Yeah. So I think with a black and then a white, and then you apply the contrast, it could actually look pretty cool. So, I mean, when it comes out, I'm sure tons of people will be testing it. The people will figure out a good way to, make it look good. They'll figure out some hacks and all that stuff. But initially, I think the initial reaction to a lot of this was like, that's just... Somebody
in chat says something interesting. Like, where was this 10 years ago? That's my point. This is a problem that no longer exists.
Yeah.
Like, GW has good washes. Other companies have good washes. We now understand how to use these washes. I mean, like, there's not a problem anymore in 2019 but except for somebody who's literally never heard of painting a model in their life, then this could be something very comfortable for them. Because we're all going to waste a couple bucks when we start the hobby on things we later discover we don't need. It's unavoidable.
No, that never happens.
And some of us, even to this day, are going to waste a couple of dollars. Like, I bought that $28 fucking mold line scraper.
I still can't believe you don't like
that. I refuse to throw away because it's preposterous.
I love it. I've told this story before, right? So they had the, and it wasn't even the regular mold line scraper. It's like their elite one or whatever.
What?
Right?
That's the one I have too.
Yeah. And so I was building models for Gamers Haven. We were building terrain. And I was like, hey, do you have a hobby knife I can borrow? And Rob Baer said, Coach said, here, use this new GW scraper. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever, right? And 5 minutes later, I was scraping a mold line off a thing, and it skipped and ran right into my finger, like really hard, like to the point that I thought I'd cut myself. Now, if that had been a hobby knife, I'm going to the emergency room. That's how hard I hit my finger. I was like, oh no. And then I looked and I was like, I'm not bleeding. Nothing happened. And I walked out to the front of the store and bought one because I was like, that is worth a trip to the emergency room.
Fair point.
Yeah,
Fair point.
You went on that one. I feel like
I have definitely never went home with a duct taped finger and super glue after a brass scorpion incident after a podcast before. But that if I maybe were using the mold line scraper, it wouldn't happen.
Ironically, I've never cut myself putting together models. I think the worst time I've ever cut myself was actually peeling a potato.
Well, with a paring knife?
Yeah. So like these intricate, tiny little models with a super sharp X-Acto knife, never cut myself. Scraping a fucking potato with a paring knife, I cut the shit out of my finger.
Oof.
Fact. So contrast.
Yep.
We'll wait till we get some content out there for you guys. We'll do our diligence. We're looking forward to some Haspil content, but I feel like something else big happened.
Well, there was a lot of big reveals. We saw the new Space Marine Repulsor main battle tank / transport variant. The AdMech got their transport finally, which kind of looks like a landing craft from.
Dude, I'm ready to storm some fucking beaches.
Storm the beaches of Mars.
Yo, dude, the beaches of Mars.
I think that was the biggest meme over the weekend. They were all great.
I believe you called that they were a hovercraft of some sort. Like a Cajun speed.
The Gator boat.
Gator boat.
I did say Gator boat, didn't I?
I think I'm gonna make a Cajun Navy Mechanicum Army now, man. Like that's gonna be cool.
Gator airboat. I did say that. Wow.
I took Bonet on an airboat ride one time in the Everglades when she first came by to visit, down in Miami, visit my parents. She was not prepared for the backwoodsness of that.
Yep. Man, those things, I don't know how much they're going to be, but they look cool. I definitely want to get one in my hands and oogle it. Also coming out, Bandai. Who knew? The makers of fine things like Gundam.
Well, they make like a billion different action figure like products besides Gunpla, but yeah, their action figures they make a bunch. I think it's called Figure Rise.
Mm-hmm.
usually like $30 to $40 range. They've paired with a bunch of different companies, off the top of my head, Star Wars and DC, to do some redesigns of their stuff. And they make some high quality collector action figure type things. So when they show off the Space Marines, when they've been, painted, because they do some really high quality, like studio style paint jobs on these action figures they sell, I think that Primaris Marine is going to look sick. It's going to look super cool. I'm excited to get my hands on them. They
have all sorts of accessories too, like pre-designed LED kits to go in, the Gunplas. They have stand holders to put the guys on, to hold them, like action figure holders, like the girls used to have back in the day to hold their Barbies up, like stuff like that. Like, they really think about their products and really get into it. And if you look at the placard cards, like, they kind of showed the range of motion, like the arms moved up and down and almost looked like with the bolter up, it was like 9 inches tall compared to some of the boxes around it. And the legs moved, and he could do the splits and stuff. And and then they got the little chibis too.
Yeah.
There was a Grey Knight chibi. Did you see it, Haspil?
I did. And his Sisters of Battle chibi.
So fresh.
I feel like
cool stuff.
And I'm gonna get a bunch of PMs now because of what I'm about to say.
Uh-oh.
But I feel like I should just re-outfit my entire Grey Knight army as chibis, so that they at least look the part while they're getting just destroyed.
Maybe people,
just this week I got like an inundation of like people going, Grey Knights are work, they're not broken, here's how you need to play them. And I'm like, God damn it, I've been playing since 3rd. I know. Okay.
Your whole army's just gonna be cute and adorable. Like, I can't wipe out that Paladin squad with my Castellan. They're adorable.
Yeah. So good. So that's pretty exciting. They keep partnering up with all these people, so they just got that licensing money just rolling in. I love it. What else was there? Oh, I guess Heresy's got a new book coming out in 2020, book 8, Crusade. So that'll be interesting, featuring Dark Angels and Night Lords, but maybe more importantly, Dark Mechanicus, and that'll be fresh to see some new models.
Ooh. That Dark Angels Leviathan is so good.
They have the Blood Angels ones look great. The White Scars ones look great.
What do you think the over-under is on Lionel L. Johnson getting a 40K model before a 30K model?
Oh, I think I'm not sure if those rumors are true. It's very
not the box. Like, I don't think for a second they're going to put a Primarch in a 2-player starter box, but I believe he is coming back.
Well, the
Lion lives.
I feel it in my heart.
Yep. What else
if the
was
Lion
there?
comes back before Russ, I'm gonna have to hate.
Russ is a bitch ass.
There'll be 2 reasons for Russ to come back.
I made a bold statement on my show the other day because somebody was like, "Oh, Russ needs to come back as a chaos werewolf," and I was like, "That is such a dumb idea. That if Games Workshop actually does that, I will shave my beard.
Oh.
And I haven't shaved in 11 years because that's how dumb I think that idea is."
You heard it here first. We're shaving.
Everyone's shaving their beard.
Yep, including me. Already done.
Finished.
I was in it to win it.
I didn't shave today for the first time in 3 days.
How did you change your hair back? Did you re-dye it?
It was temporary dye, bro.
That's the thing?
Movie magic, man.
Movie magic? No way.
Yeah. Is pretty fast, actually. The dyeing process took like 8 seconds.
That's super smart.
Well, it was an exaggeration, like 5 minutes. But no, I forgot. We didn't even talk about that, right? Or I talked about sucking a homeless guy's dick, but we talked. Yes. We talked about it more in the webcast. I was an extra in a film over the weekend, Hell, California. Directed by Bonet Bartran. Written by Drew Anthony.
Kenny's first movie role. So like 20 years from now, when you're on Inside the Actor's Studio, you can look back on how your acting career got started by sucking a homeless man's dick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, it's not porn, but it kind of is.
Oh, it was. I didn't get paid, so it was straight sexual exploitation. But I was more of an office PA for Bonet. I was delivering, equipment and rentals and stuff to locations, and Then one thing led to another. She's like, well, we need another extra to stand in the background. You have to be blonde. You don't have to shave. Then it turned into one of our extras who's, kind of important because of his size. Can't make it. So now you're going to have to stand kind of in the front and shave because your beard is black and there's no way the camera could be close to you. And that looks natural within the amount of dye and then one thing led to another and I had to shave and they were debating putting a wig on me or, coloring my hair. And don't worry, guys, I don't have any lines. I'm not going to embarrass myself. I just had to stand there and do stuff. I even got a stunt. And I say stunt because I didn't call it a stunt until they told me it's technically called a stunt. I was like, I just did some things. And then I wanted to, then in a space between standing around waiting for my call time and doing things, I was also going to the gas station because I was still like her office PA, getting gas for generators. And then when it all wrapped after 2 overnight shoots in a row, I made like 3 deliveries and took props back to Universal and took a wardrobe back to Universal after dry cleaning and delivered rentals back. So like I was still driving around at like 11 a.m. after an overnight shoot on Monday morning. Had to cancel class.
You got the full Hollywood experience.
I did. Yeah. It was very Hollywood and it was hype for, like I said, we crammed in like 5 days worth of memories into, 70-hour period. And it was hype nonstop. I was jazzed the entire time. Never felt tired once because it was so fucking crazy, right? Like, and a lot of the extras felt the same way. They were like, this is so fucking Hollywood because there's different. We had another group of extras that were like regular, extras and character actors, and they were like business as usual. But there was like 3 of us that were like, this is so fucking tight. We've never seen anything like this. So I think our energy was annoying other people.
It can be infectious. There's nothing wrong with that.
I had a blast. I thought it was so fucking fun. But that's what I did. So if you saw a Facebook picture of me with blonde hair, that's why. And if you're also curious why I shaved the iciest sideburns in the game, Monet made me do it.
Well, it turns out they're going to grow back, unlike 25% of this podcast right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's you. I was like, Haspil's beard, Wyatt's beard's been established. You.
Oh, so sad.
He's been growing his beard for 10 years. 10-year anniversary of Rob's lack of a beard.
Beards. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. I feel like I'm still growing though. Who knows?
You're growing, boy.
I am. Second biggest or second to last biggest thing from this weekend was that Adepticon announced that they were parting ways with Crystal Brush Awards painting competition, and 2 days later they announced that the Golden Demon Awards are coming back to America and for the first time at a non-GW event, and that will be Adepticon 2020, which I am super excited for.
Only good things can come of this. Painting competitions are inherently subjective, and politicking a part of it. Proprietary models, a bunch of bullshit that makes art not art. I've always said if you were going to do a painting competition, that you have to streamline it. There has to be some objectivity to it. And as annoying as it is, why not Games Workshop, right? Crystal Brush has established themselves as a big deal for a while. Mm-hmm. Sad to say it, you're gone at Adepticon. And GW's in, and let's bring some objectivity to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be super good for the con. They have a ton of new entry. Losing the word, but you can
categories.
Yeah, a bunch of new categories. Those things, including a category where everybody has to paint the same model, which I am a proponent for all painting competitions. But back the last time I competed in Gold Demon was 2012. And so it's been a while. So like they got a bunch of new things.
I won't say the last time I competed.
Yeah. But being able to have some categories that are a way more even playing field, I think is nothing but a good thing. And I especially like the fact they added we're going to tell you the model and everybody has to paint the same model. And I think that's going to be the most.
That's going to be
one.
that's going to be the category to track.
Yeah, that's going to be impressive. That's going to be really, really cool.
I can't wait to see what happens with that category, man. Real quick.
Unannounced new category is everybody. It's called the contrast category.
Oh God.
That one's actually scored the opposite way. Like who can submit like the worst model, and it'll be really tight.
But you get a
there's a lot of salt. A lot of salt coming from Wyatt.
Look, man, we dedicated a no small amount of our life to creating techniques to making painting easier and look good simultaneously. We're not big fans of this. This is like blue table painting circa 2012.
I bought models from Blue Table Painting circa 2012. I remember how bad they were.
Like this is real quick. Quard Jenks in chat says, "Tell them about your Long War name drop on my truck." So this is the second production my truck has started. Turns out there's not a lot of pickup trucks in Hollywood that have faded clear coat to have a little bit of production value, so they don't look like they're new off the lot. And so my truck, in addition to being a production truck, because that's why we keep a truck, made the film. And there is a Long War sticker on the back of it that you can see clearly in some stills.
Oh, nice.
It's gonna be the new Raimi, where you have your like shitty car in every single one of your appearances.
Yeah, I mean it's a work truck. It's it's a business write off every year because it's only used for work. And another example of that, but it has that sticker on it for 4 years and still held up. Remember that sticker had a 9-year UV protection warranty on it. Still holding up. It's the best part of the truck.
So you got when do we get those? 2015. So you still got a few years.
Yeah. Mine's still going strong.
Yeah. Now they are.
It's that first wave of stickers we got made. Yeah. It looks better than my clear coat.
G Kickstarter.
Faded AF.
And the last bit of news coming out of all the previews from Warhammer Fest was the Chaos Knight, which looks completely different from the Imperial one. And I think in all the right reasons, the question may be, hey, what's this thing going to be armed with? And how much money is it going to cost?
Oh, so it's like a completely new kit?
Completely new redesigned kit, yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize.
Tons of new aesthetics, totally different posing. They have like an extra joint in the knee to give it that sort of chaos, like
reverse knee,
animalistic leg.
That's if you guys look at my Renegade Knight that I converted, that is on my Instagram page. I used the Kaitan's legs on the Forge World Knight body. I used the Kaitan legs because they had the reverse knee because it's demonic. It's like a goat legs. So I always said, since I made that model, it was a $350 conversion. Because you used the Kaitan legs, Lord of Skulls Gatling gun, a bits add-on for the second one, and the Forge World conversion bit. I was like, if you bought a Kaitan kit, scavenged it, bought the extra Gatling gun, and the Renegade Knight kit, this would cost you $350. But GW could quite easily market this because it was only like one clean cut and like another clean cut to make it work. They literally could have just made it. I guess, I was like, this could be marketed. And I'm so glad to see that a certain degree of those, because I'm sure the aesthetics are very similar to the Forge World aesthetics that come with the Renegade Knights or the Chaos Knights. So I'm pretty sure it's going to look pretty close to what I spent $350 to make, which a little salt, but also happy.
That's fair. I don't know. I'm hopeful. I know we got some rules discussion to talk about after a word about some of the events coming up that y'all should buy tickets for. But yeah, I'm stoked. Can't wait to see it on the tabletop, and I'm sure it's going to be here sooner than later for sure.
Do you want to do a prediction on the night or end on the show and do promotion first?
Let's talk about some of those events. One's coming up next weekend. Yep. I think, right?
Bay Area Open next week. Starting officially on Thursday, but we don't roll dice till Friday. Bay Area Open, I think this is the first year they're moved into a formal convention. A little bit of a growing pain there. There is going to be a Long War doubles there. I'll be there with Alan, the spreadsheet master. Wyatt will be there. playing, trying to win the Long War Doubles gold.
Yep.
So
Held up the bat, Babe Ruth style.
he said he's coming for it. So that's a big thing. I think we're going to get our packets printed this week, and we're go. Also, Slaughterfest. We talked about it last week. Slaughterfest 2019. They're like 2 ticket sales away from the TO opinion of a major, because you have to expect a 10% drop, and your major status is tied to directly the first round pairings. So they're trying to. So they've already on paper achieved it, but they're trying to get 10% above that, so they can guarantee that major standings. So Slaughterfest 2019 here in California. You definitely want to be a part of that. I'll be there too. That's the Veteran Re-Enlisted podcast guys and Enigma Hobbies joining forces. Incredible gift bags and swag bags. So you definitely want to sign up for that. And there's at least another one, right, Rob?
Out here on the East Coast at Warzone Atlanta on Veterans Day weekend in November. So you got a little bit of time, but it's probably not a bad idea to pick up your tickets if you plan on attending. That one will be on Friday, so it'll be before the main event. I think there's some other stuff happening too, like maybe some Underworlds or something that day. I forget. They've just been announcing a few things here and there. So if you're in the southeast of the U.S., Atlanta is probably within driving distance of you. So check it out. It's always a great event. Those guys from the general staff, amazing hobbyists and really, really organized when it comes to events. And they have, the whole overall player experience definitely in mind there.
Wars in Atlanta. I might be there too. We'll see. Rod can convince me to fly,
I mean, I know how you are about flying, Kenny.
I'm going to make him sign a piece of paper that says if I fly to this, you have to fly to my next one out here.
Oof. I mean, there's ways to get across the country without flying.
It's true.
None of which I've done before.
Yeah, that man will drive incredible length to avoid flying.
Take a train? Think about taking a train this time?
I don't know. I don't think that.
It's like 60 hours. So brutal.
Yeah, I think it's like 1,000,000 hours.
Yeah, it's like 30 hours to drive.
Yeah,
absolutely. You want to do a quick segment on bold predictions for the Knights at the show on that?
Yeah, we got we got that work up. Apparently, you had to do terrible things for this codex.
Well, we have a spreadsheet. I think Rob might turn into a prediction article. We did it earlier today. We spent an hour with about half a dozen like-minded people, including Wyatt, just perfecting this prediction. So I'll jump right into it. Chaos Knights, GW Mark route. I'm calling this category. This is if GW goes the Mark route instead of the house route, which the more I thought about it, the more I realized this is probably the way they're going to go. I give it a 70% likelihood. And this is my prediction. No house style rules. Bullet point. More weapons leading to more points on average. Half the strats, traits, and relics. Double the variety and configurations. Straight up, what does that mean? Marks instead of houses. So that means 4 marks, which means a trait, a relic, and a stratagem, at least for each one of these. There's like over 30 sets of sub rules for the Knights as it is. So I'm predicting a Khorne warlord trait that might look like something as simple as rerolling charges. Khorne relic in the form of a close combat weapon, probably a huge axe cleaver that is designed to kill other big guys, maybe a flat 6 damage, which we've seen before from the Knights, and possibly a dedicated Khorne stratagem that would let you do something like advance and charge. So that'd be 3 separate rules, one being a trait, a relic, and a warlord, and a stratagem. Nurgle, and this is like, we're looking at, Demon Codex, we're looking at Chaos Space Marines, we're trying to figure out what's the flavor. Nurgle's flavor is resiliency, so I can see there being a Nurgle Warlord trait that confers a -1 to all damage, which is not uncommon. Like, discussing resilience would be OP as fuck on a Knight, but I can see a straight up -1 to a minimum of 1 per instance Warlord trait being pretty strong, but also balanced. I can see there being a shooting relic here. I'm predicting 2 close combat relics and 2 shooting relics. A plasma weapon of some type, with 2 modes of fire. And I can see this being of the 2 shooting weapons, the one designed to kill big things. And I can see there being a Nurgle stratagem. And remember, these keywords would give you nothing but access to these rules. There'd be no other kind of passive ability. So the Nurgle bracket would unlock a stratagem that possibly would be -1 to hit, which is a very Nurgle thing, which would be like in the enemy's shooting phase at the start of the phase, you play this stratagem -1 to hit. Slaanesh would be our other close combat guy. I went back and forth on this. I think it's more likely, rather than a fight first warlord trait, I can see it being more like +1 to hit in close combat, which is, we've seen that before. And this would stack with a relic. That would be a close combat relic, which would basically be a high AP tripling of attack style relic, similar to how Titanic Feet works. So like with this huge sword, like -3 or 4 AP, D3 damage, 3 attacks for every attack, +1 to hit with the stack kind of infantry killer weapon. So that'd be the infantry killer. And I could see there being a Slaanesh stratagem that would be +1 to all movement, including, advancing and charging. So now obviously you can stack all these on one guy or spread them out, get the flavor. Tzeentch is one that took me a while to think about, but I can see this being the reroll ones aura guy. There's a lot to support that theory. For me, looking across all the Tzeentch stuff, this could be as spicy as a reroll all ones in the shooting phase aura. I can see that being a Tzeentch keyword, Imperial Knight or Renegade Knight. There would be no codex overlapping. I would say they would even put a caveat in here like no, like all stratagems and blah, 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 only for this codex, just like the FAQ for the Demon Codex stated. So I can see them having a reroll ones aura of some type, a Relic Flamer, the other shooting relic, with 2 modes of fire that would be like good at killing infantry and decent at killing tanks. And I could see this being where we get our Ion Shield save, our stratagem to get that clutch ass invulnerable save on your Ion Shield. And I would go into saying this keeping basically the 5th tier would be all the current strats, warlord traits and relics that we have in the index would be like the unmarked knights. And I would see them add in a few staples like fighting twice and etc. into the codex. And then I would say we have a big category here called pros. What are the pros of all this? Why would they go the mark route? Fans would be happy AF, right? First and foremost, fans. Then another pro would be you don't really step on the narrative too much, with like having to come up with a bunch of traitor houses that quote unquote aren't supposed to exist. This lets you play a mono mark army still, which is super fanfare when you can say, I got my chaos spaces, my demons, and my knights, and it's all corn or whatever. Huge bonus. And from GW standpoint, cream. Mike Haspil, cream. Cash runs everything around me. This supports that like crazy. Wu-Tang. And the cons would be that, unfortunately, this would lead to a weaker balance. Like this would be a weaker version of Knights, even with all these new rules than Imperials, because you just wouldn't have the 30 different sets of rules to draw from and figure out the perfect combination. But it's okay if they're a little weaker, as long as they're more playable than they are now. And the other con would be consumer cream. Like, unfortunately, we're the ones shelling out the cash flow. But I did go on to say one last section would be if I were in charge, 2 points. I would just simply clone every existing house, strat, relic, and trait. And then I would create a narrative to support that. That'd be me as a game balancer for everything, though. I do think the likelihood of us getting marks and the removal of houses is the way they're going to go. I think there's a 70% chance that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I really like that too. I also like that Chaos as a faction is moving away from being like the reverse universe Imperium. Like they're going away from being Imperium guys with goatees and spikes. So anything that makes Chaos more fleshed out as an individual faction and go in a different branching path from where Imperium is going right now is good. I really like that.
I think there's potential, but remember, Chaos sometimes just isn't quite as strong as some of the, loyalist stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean,
there's a reason for that. And
But they are strong, and they should be, because they are the great enemy of the Imperium. So they should be strong, and they currently are.
yeah,
Our knights might not need to be as strong because we don't have the full support of Imperial support to make that happen, but they should be stronger than they are now, which every codex should make them. We're just here to debate what route are they going to take. Renegade knight houses, or just simply devotion to a god in the form of a keyword that unlocks a subset of rules. Which way are we going?
and I could see that working for sure. So I got no beef with it. I think I think the stratagems was what's going to make it super spicy. So at the end of the day, being able to make these kits and chaos out the existing dominance classes and the little armigers, I think it'll be just pretty fun. And if people weren't already doing it, yeah, I think once we get a look at the rules, start formulating that stuff, like the actual.
Yeah, I mean, think how good a Tzeentch Knight with double Gatlin and a near another Tzeentch guy with a reroll all ones and shooting phase bubble would be.
I really hope they keep the current weapon loadouts that we have from the index book they put out, because that new kit doesn't have the double Gatlers and the thermal cannons and the battle cannons. So that might be a feel badsy for some people, or maybe they'll just come out with some sort of upgrade sprue or something that can go in the Questoris Knight. I don't know yet, but that seems like a waste when
They'll slide that sprue in.
It's possible, but
the Chaos Knights have to be defined by their lack of compliance with any kind of rule structure. Like they put the shit on they want. Like that's their thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they'll compromise that.
Crazy demon weapons and such.
No, I can see. Like I said, I think we're gonna get 2 relic close combat weapons, 2 relic shooting weapons.
It's usually about 6 or 7. Yeah.
I mean, I scaled it with how many the Imperium has, and I said half. So when you factor in, 18 sets of unique abilities and strats and warlord traits, and then the currently existing ones, right? Then that's already getting there, right? Like,
yeah, the unaligned houses or factions, that they have several from some of the heresy stuff, but supposedly they didn't, there's not many of these guys running around. So it might be a combination of newer kind of fluff mixed with older fluff.
Where it gets really interesting is the armigers.
Yeah.
See, that's where the keywords are going to start to play. Like one knight and then marks with these guys gaining access to things, right? You can now suddenly, what if like you just want to bring 3 armigers, right? One of them was the guy with who has the close combat weapon and the gun. And what if that was just like a little corn guy, who literally can advance and charge in the same turn, or some shit like that, go 14 inches and get there. So, I mean, like there could be play here, right? Like I said, these are all just wild speculations, but there is a certain amount. We put 1 solid hour with 6 other people's inputs into that list. So,
oh yeah, I'm stoked.
7 man hours to come up with that list.
It'll be cool to run it down when they come out and be like, "Oh, how close were we?"
So I believe in it, but that's all I've got to say on the subject.
Well, I think I did want to mention also Creature Caster's Resin Beast painting competition is returning to it at the con too. So don't forget about that one. If you love you some boutique resin from those very nice upstairs neighbors in Canada, make sure you get your Creature Caster Resin Beast entries ready as well.
I imagine a lot of, maybe not a lot, but at least some of the people who were real diehard Crystal Brush people might go over to the Resin Beast, because it's not only Games Workshop products, or it's no Games Workshop product. Because a lot of people in the really high-end professional painting, not really big fans of it. So it'll be interesting to see if they get an influx of people entering the Resin Beast now that Crystal Brush is gone.
And plus, they have a lot of miniatures planned. I'm sure they're going to have stuff come out between now and then, too, that we don't even know about, like maybe some smaller scale minis, so it's not just the larger stuff, too. They got the Matriarchs of Ecstasy, and who knows what's going to come out at that scale in the near future. They always seem to have an exclusive around the holidays, too. So there's your custom sculpt, Wyatt.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to it because I've been a supporter of them since they debuted a couple of years ago, and every new thing they come out with, it may not be my cup of tea personally, but they make a great product. So if they keep making stuff in this slightly smaller, it's all the same scale, right? But it's just smaller sized. So if they keep coming out with the smaller size stuff, there might be something in there for me. Like, I'm really excited about it. So I plan on waiting a few months out from next year's Adepticon, see what their catalog looks like, and then I'll probably pick something up for Resin Beast next year.
Yep, 100%. Well, I think we did it, guys. And we got a Haspil here. So, Haspil.
If you're going to throw hands at James Brown, I'm sorry, but you're a goner. Everyone knows that.